Hello everyone and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster series, the series where I analyze a game I played recently in my journey to becoming a Grandmaster. And this game is against a 1432 rated opponent, and it starts off with d4, d5, bishop f4, knight f6, e3, e6, basically the London system. But here, queen a5, and I thought the threat was bishop b4, so I played a3, but a3 is not a good move. Because if he were to play bishop b4, it would be a bad move because he spent tempo moving his bishop one square and then another square. So he lost two moves moving his bishop if he were to play bishop b4. So I shouldn't be afraid of bishop b4 because bishop b4 makes him lose a tempo and it helps me anyways. So a3 is not the best move, but a3 was played, trying to restrict his bishop's development, but he already developed his bishop, so this move is useless, and knight e4 is played. Now he has two attackers attacking my knight. For example, if knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes with check, I am losing here. I'm down a pawn, and we might trade queens or just knight back. It's just a bad position. So I play rook c1 defending my knight, which is what you usually do when your knight is pinned either by the bishop or the queen. And here black should have played knight takes, because if rook takes, he has bishop takes a3, and I cannot take his bishop back because my rook is pinned. So if he were to take, maybe b takes is better, but I lose a pawn, or just queen d2, attacking his knight and pinning his queen, which is a way better move than all the other moves I showed you. But instead of taking the knight, he plays knight d7, which is a bad move because it kind of blocks his bishop's development, but his bishop's already blocked, so it's already a bad bishop, so maybe it's not a bad move. But the goal of this move is to move knight f6, which kind of traps his knight here on this outpost, but he's trying to solidify the outpost. And the best move is actually bishop d3, attacking the knight. For example, if bishop takes, pawn takes, knight d2 double attacks the pawn. But instead I play another useless move because I kind of want to open up the c file, but taking on c takes d5, which is the move I played, doesn't actually open up the c file. So he takes d5 and I did nothing here. And now I play bishop d3, and bishop d3 is not the best move in this position anymore. It's actually knight d2 attacking his outpost knight, but I play knight d3 instead, and now he plays knight d to f6, protecting his knight, keeping it on the outpost. For example, if bishop takes, knight takes, and now again there's still an attack here, but the big thing is his knight still has an outpost, and if I were to castle, now he's being threatened. But he could just ignore it and castle himself, and if knight takes, pawn takes, and then knight d2, it'll kind of be a battle for the pawn here, and it's completely equal. And I believe in this position white's goal is to play b4, b5 at some point, trying to open up the c file for the rook, or just play queen c2, put pressure on this pawn, or maybe rook c5 and do some stuff there at some point. But after knight d to f6, supporting the outpost, instead of playing knight takes e4, which is a mistake, I play h3, which is another mistake, because this move doesn't do anything here. I thought that I would be restricting black's bishop from developing, but I actually forgot that he had bishop f5, which is a good developing square, supporting the outpost again. So I played another useless move. The best move here is actually castles, and then castles, but h3 is a mistake because it does nothing. And now the best move for black here is actually knight takes c3, and after rook takes c3, now bishop takes a3 again still works. I can't take back because the rook's pinned. I cannot take his bishop because I lose my rook with check, and then I lose the pawn. And in this position after castles, if he were to take the pawn, which is a big blunder, white is actually winning because you have rook c5 attacking the queen, queen b4, and it's winning because you have attacks against the black queen, and you might trap it or win this bishop in the end. So after I play h3, he plays castles instead of taking the knight, which is taking the knight is the best move, so he plays castles. And this allows me to castle as well. Now I'm threatening to take the knight with the bishop takes e4, pawn takes, and then the knight can just move to d2, two attackers on the pawn or something, and white should be better. So knowing that his knight's being threatened, he takes my knight, which is one of the best moves. A better move was bishop f5, solidifying the outpost knight on e4. But knight takes c3, rook takes c3, and now this move with the bishop takes a3 doesn't work because I can just play rook takes a3, winning his bishop because my rook's not pinned anymore. So instead of playing knight e4, attacking my rook, which is the best move, and then like rook b3 or rook c1, my opponent plays in this position c5, which is a very bad mistake, because after d takes c5, if he were to play bishop takes c5, he loses the game on the spot because he loses his bishop. So he calculates this and he plays bishop e6, which is a useless move because it kind of makes his bishop passive, protecting this pawn. Here I play b4, forcing the queen to d8, and here the best move is knight d4. And now there's two ways to fight against an isolated queen's pawn, and that's, wait, is this even an isolated queen's pawn? Yeah, it should be, right? I might be wrong, but yeah, this is an isolated queen's pawn. Best way to fight against it is to blockade it with the knight, and either do it two ways, either trade into an endgame, where this pawn is a weakness, or blockade it and attack it from the side, or attack it and try to win this pawn. And the reason why this move is good, it pressures the bishop. It also can move here to this outpost on d6, and if bishop were to take, then the bishop has an outpost and this pawn is weak due to black unable to look at this pawn with his rooks if the bishop were here. It's just an all-around good move. Knight d4 helps attack against the isolated queen's pawn. But in this position, instead of knight d4, I go for the immediate attack against the isolated queen's pawn by playing bishop c2. The idea is to move my rooks in, bishop b3, and attack this pawn. He can never push it down because the knight could take. And then he plays knight e4, best move, and I use this attack on my rook as a free tempo to go rook d3, attacking his pawn. Now goes bishop f6. And this is a slight mistake because it actually blocks the knight from going back to protect this pawn. So the knight is kind of stuck here, but the knight does have knight c3. And here I just play bishop b3 attacking the pawn. Now three attackers. And black knows that he cannot defend this pawn anymore, so he moves his queen out of the way. But this also sets up a trap, because if I were to take his pawn by bishop takes d5, bishop takes, rook takes, and now there's a fork on knight c3, and that is why in this position knight d4 and knight e5 are the best, because it blocks the bishop's scope on c3, so the knight is not safe here anymore, so I am free to take the pawn on the next move. So realizing that taking is a mistake because I calculated all of this, I play queen c2, best move, because if I were to take, he doesn't have a fork anymore, and he just loses the pawn. And so he goes rook d8, protecting the pawn. And here I go rook fd1, which is kind of a bad move because knight d4 is the best move, and knight e5, stopping the bishop scope with the dark squares here. Yeah. So those two moves are better, but I play the third move, rook fd1, getting ready to attack this pawn. And now black blunders his bishop for an attack. He plays a really bad move, and here I calculated rook takes, queen g4, takes, and here, after calculating all of this, I thought this was a dead end, and that I might be getting mated, because I didn't visualize knight e1 to protect, or the best move in this position, which is bishop takes f7, and if king were to take, knight e5 wins the queen. And if king f8, knight e1 defending also wins because I'm attacking his knight and I'm protecting against checkmate. And so because I didn't calculate bishop takes or knight e1, I go for the third best move, which is g takes h3, just winning his free bishop. And here I didn't fully calculate that much, and I thought that if he took my knight, it's fine for me. So instead of playing knight h2 and something like bishop h4 attacking the pawn, and like bishop takes d5 attacking the knight, and then knight takes, this whole line the engine sees, which is king f7, and then you take, and then king f2 being fine here. I also in this position saw bishop g3, which is actually fine. Here I saw bishop g3 and I thought it was a useless move because I lose after this, but I didn't calculate that after queen g3 check takes g3 that I actually have queen g2. I didn't see this in my calculation, protecting the knight and actually just winning the game because he's down a whole bishop. I didn't see all that, so I blunder. I play rook takes d5. I blunder my knight, and this is now a draw instead of a win. So rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, bishop takes. And here I play bishop d5, only move, best move. If I didn't play this move, I'd be losing. Queen g4 check, king f1, h3 check, king e2. And white only has one move, and if he finds this, it's a draw, or he can draw. But if he doesn't find this move, I win. And here, instead of playing queen h5 check for the draw, and then some like knight and something like f3 attacking the knight and protecting my king, he plays the mistake knight f6 attacking my bishop, and now I'm winning because I could just take this free pawn, and if he checks I could just drop back, and now I have a free pass pawn, and this pawn will become a queen in the future and win. So queen d7 attacking my bishop, I play queen d3, best move. If he were to take the bishop, I take his bishop, and this is checkmate. So he can't take my bishop, and he actually calculates that. I thought he would just blitz this move out. Oh look, free piece, but he actually calculates it, and he plays queen g4, best move, and I play bishop f3, one of the best moves, attacking his queen and protecting my king. This move also corrals his knight, because his knight cannot go anywhere except for d7, and if his knight goes d7 I can just take. And here I'm also threatening checkmate because my queen is attacking his bishop, so queen c8 protecting his bishop. And here I had 28 seconds left on the clock, and I was about to time out, so I played c6, just advancing my pawn. He plays h6, a useless move, it doesn't do anything. And here I play queen c4 because I am very low on the clock and I just want to advance this pawn and win. Bishop b6, and here I play a4, getting ready to either boot the bishop or play b5 and advance the pawns. So seeing that a5 is coming, he plays c7, and I trade the bishops, and I play b5, and now my light squared bishop can move anywhere it wants to, but it's actually better placed here, stopping the knight from ever moving. And here he tries to go for a trap, but this is actually a mistake, and the trap is if pawn takes, he takes my queen with check and I lose the game. So seeing this pin, I just step out of it, queen d4, and I'm threatening to take his knight and win the game. So black plays knight e5, and here I had 3 seconds left, and I play the move queen d5, just making a move for time. It also attacks his knight, but his knight isn't under any attack because his queen is protecting, and if knight takes f3 here, if king takes, I'm still winning because I have a passer pawn. I have a passed pawn above the middle of the board, and his queen can never check my king. Here he plays the mistake king h7, I guess trying to get away from checkmate and stuff, but he actually blunders faster, like he blunders the game. And now I win immediately, so bishop e4 check, attacking his king, and g6 trying to protect it. And here I play f4, which is the best move, and here the knight has nowhere to go. He can't go here, 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 or here, or here, and his only move is g4, and this allows me to trade the queens because I'm attacking his knight, I'm attacking his pawn, and I'm attacking his queen. So he's forced to take, and then pawn takes, and then knight f6 attacking my pawn and my bishop. But this pawn can turn into a queen, so I don't care about this bishop. And I'm winning the game. After queen e7, I'm threatening this pawn, and so he plays king g7 protecting the pawn. And now here, I was low on time, I had 39 seconds left, and I didn't see that this knight was actually hanging and I can take it for free. But that was the best move, just taking his undefended knight. Instead I attack his knight with the king, hoping he'd play c5 check or something, blundering his knight. He can't really go anywhere. And he goes f6 for some reason, and this allows me to take the other pawn on a7, and now I can make another queen, and he plays h5, and here the best move to win immediately is actually queen d4, and after some pinning, queen d4 pins his knight to his king, and it allows my pawns to go up without any attack from the knight. For example, h4, b6, h3, b7, h2, queen, queen, and queen, and he sacrificed the queen for checkmate here. But I was low on time, I didn't see anything like that, so I just play e4 advancing, trying to attack the knight and attack this pawn on f7. I also could have just played b6 and b7 and make another queen. The point of this move also allows my queen to infiltrate if he ever pushes this too far. So h4 is played, and now e5 attacking the knight. He plays knight g4, the best move is knight h5, threatening check, but he plays knight g4. Now I play e6. He cannot take the pawn because my queen is looking at his king right now. So king h6, and now I just take the pawn. I'm threatening check with the queen. King g7. Now queen e7. Here I'm attacking the pawn, and I'm threatening checkmate. So he moves the pawn, and this is immediate checkmate because he cannot move here, he cannot move here, and he cannot move here, and his queen, and his king is just dead. And yeah, and this is all that I have for you guys today. And if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Have a nice day, and peace out.